the downfall of the highest-ranking official to date in the Epstein saga. Today, the UK fired its ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson. First, his name popped up in that Epstein birthday book that was released this week, which includes a note apparently from Mandelson describing Epstein as, quote, my best pal, unquote. Then there was more, much more. Mandelson's name came up over and over in a collection of Epstein emails published today by Bloomberg. Let's bring in Jason Leopold, a senior investigative reporter at Bloomberg who helped publish this report today. Thanks for joining us, Jason. Give us a sense of the type of emails that mentioned former Ambassador Mandelson.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Jake. So these emails, there's about 100 of them between Mandelson and Epstein, and it covers a 5-year span between 2005 and 2010. Importantly, however, there are maybe about 80 or so that span the 2 years in which Jeffrey Epstein was charged with sex crimes in Florida, and following through 2008 when he was trying to fight back against the federal investigation.
Mandelson told.
And within those emails,
keep going.
Yeah. Within those emails, you see, you read Mandelson, supporting Epstein to the point where he brings up using the art of war, Sun Tzu's art of war, as a tactic to way to fight back against these allegations. There's another email just a day before Epstein reported to prison in 2008, in which he said that this is something that just couldn't happen in Britain. It was essentially a grave injustice what was happening to Epstein.
It's true. It didn't happen in Britain. Prince Andrew obviously was named in this scandal. Mandelson told the British tabloid The Sun that he found his words, quote, very embarrassing. He said he regretted falling for Epstein's lies. Did you find it notable that Mandelson's not denying that he wrote these emails?
Yeah, I do find that notable. But the emails speak for itself. And for your listeners out there, we have a separate story that our brilliant team of data reporters and engineers put up just to explain how we vetted these emails. So it was very clear that it would be hard to essentially deny what we were presenting here. And as I mentioned, there's a trove, but in the ones that we reported on, you really get to see how that relationship between Epstein and Mandelson was going, and how it was very close to the point where Mandelson was trying to help him, trying to help him beat back these charges, the federal investigation, and essentially going to work for him, lobbying to some extent, or at least that's what Epstein asked him to do to assist him.
You also note in the emails that you obtained that Epstein and his ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison right now, exchanged emails about trying to discredit the women who raised allegations against them. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So this is another story that we published this morning, and this is based on 650 emails that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein exchanged, and it really gets to you get to see how close their partnership was, and within those emails there are discussions that's taking place in which Maxwell, you get the sense that the heat is turning up on Maxwell, and she is discussing with Epstein how they can discredit ultimately Virginia Giuffre. And she asked him for, and this is in 2014, by the way, in an email, can you give me whatever your attorneys have, the files on Virginia? And basically within those files was, it appears to be some sealed documents, confidential documents, and sometime later, a story pops up in the New York Daily News related to what was in those confidential files.
Fascinating stuff. Jason Leopold of Bloomberg. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great reporting.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it.
Former ATF director under President Biden, Steve Dettelbach, joins us now. Welcome. What do you see as important in the manhunt, the photos out, the incredible interest and national security imperative of finding this individual?
And so I think as time goes on, there's two things that are happening. First, as time goes on, there's more time for the suspect to get further away from the scene, to hide better, to do all those things, right? But as time goes on, the other thing that's happening is law enforcement is developing more and more information about that person that's going to help us to find him. And let me tell you something, this individual is going to be caught at some point. That is going to happen. And you can see the beginnings of the fruits of that paying off, right? You can see the fact that there's now a picture that they're able to circulate to enlist the public. That's the traditional law enforcement tools. They're offering a reward. They're organized. Right now, they're in a joint operations center. You heard Jim Kavanaugh talk about this, right? They're meeting, they're delegating. Utah State Police, FBI, ATF. Now the marshals are involved. And then you have the follow the gun technology that that you just heard about before, right? This ballistic technology that enables that huge piece of evidence to be used for the investigation, to do a trace, an urgent trace, which I'm sure is already underway or done. And also, if there's an expended cartridge casing, to use the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network and millions of ballistic fingerprints to try and link that to other potential crimes. So DNA, all the list of things are also being developed at the same time. And, at this time, there can be this tremendous it's horrible, it's understandable desire from the public to know what happened and catch this person immediately. And unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. We have to be patient in terms of letting the law enforcement professionals do their job. And I am telling you, they're going to catch this perpetrator.
We have this timeline that's been prepared. As you say, a lot of information coming together over the course of the last day and a half. 11:50 a.m., they believe they have the arrival, going to the roof access, which they got. 12:10, that shot. We knew that yesterday. And then the additional information that was not immediately apparent, crossing the roof, jumping the building, and then fleeing into the neighborhood where, again, without speculating, based on past examples, you would say an individual who'd planned this may be fleeing with what as their next step?
Well, I think you have to learn more about the person to understand that, right? I mean, what they're doing is they're developing the contacts that this individual has, where he's from, where he might be going, looking at his patterns of life, all of those things. At the same time as they're conducting this manhunt physical search, they're doing these things to build the intelligence on this individual in the hopes that will give them more information about where to best search. Because I don't think I can say, certainly, there's an old saying in Washington, those who know don't talk, those who don't know talk, right? I'm talking. I don't know what information they have. None of us knows. It's in that Joint Operations Center inside the investigation that they know. And I will tell you, having been a director of ATF when a lot of these went on, I remember Lewiston, Maine, for instance, there was a significant period where there was a manhunt for that shooter. The public often has to be in the dark at some level, because you don't want to somehow tip off the fugitive as to where you're going to be looking, or that where he might go, right? And those things can happen unless the trained professionals, as Jim Kavanaugh said, are the ones making the decisions about what goes out and what doesn't, because it is so easy with all the pressure and interest to make a mistake and to say something that does confuse people, or worse yet, that gives the suspect an advantage for some period of time.
How do you think the FBI leadership is handling it thus far, and could they learn from precedent and best practices?
It's not for me to in the middle of the game, armchair quarterback while they're trying to protect the public. I just say, for me as ATF director, when I went through these, I viewed my role during this critical period of time is understanding on a very routine basis, getting briefed about everything that was going on, number one, and number two, making sure I was there to give the right resources on a real-time basis to the people who were at ATF and FBI and at the local partners conducting the investigation. And then there comes a time for after action, and then there comes a time for understanding what could have been done better. But now is not that time. And one thing, since I haven't talked about this publicly, just how horrible for the people who were there, for the families, for everybody who knew the victim of this crime. But also, I want to say that since this crime occurred, this horrible incident, 120 Americans have lost their lives to firearms violence. If this is an average day, 120 other people, and so we are going to catch this individual, Ari. But we have to find out how to solve this violence problem and this political violence problem, which seems to be getting worse and worse. That is not going to go away when we catch this individual. And those are the real problems that people in leadership positions in the government and law enforcement need to get serious about solving.
Yeah, and you speak from the experience and having actually done the work at ATF, which deals with firearms and trying to bring to bear the full resources, as you mentioned, of the federal government, while there are open questions over whether the actual legal architecture at the state and federal level allows our government to protect us and do that, or whether the gun violence problem carries on. As you say, that level of gun violence daily. We've had several other shooting incidences just in this day and a half, some of them understandably crowded out by this terrible murder. Assassination, according to the governor. Go ahead.
Right. You look at Minneapolis, you look at these horrible incidents that we see. And I guess the one thing that as a policy matter, I hope we can all agree on is that the agencies, ATF, FBI, marshals, state and local law enforcement that are out there doing this need to be funded. This kind of, when people see this kind of effort that's going on right now, that doesn't come for free. And, efforts to somehow diminish or cut or change budgets of these agencies that are out there protecting us and investigating these cases are crucial. And it should be a nonpartisan issue. You look at the things that Jim Kavanaugh told you that ATF and FBI are doing right now. Those agencies need to be given the support that they need to do this for each and every time, whether the person is prominent or not, that federal jurisdiction is implicated in one of these horrible crimes.